well, I didn't really try very hard. So I came up with an idea. I think it was like 5 years ago now for a meal plan app. And it wasn't really to make any money because, which is good because it doesn't make any money. But I tried using loads of different ideas trying to code and it didn't work. I started using Flutterflow, and then for the first 2 years, it still didn't really work until ChatGPT and AI really took off, and then I've been using that to sort of develop the idea further. Let me go on to the next slide. So I'm going to talk a bit about like using AI and the language barrier with that, compounding errors and why big prompts fail, backwards thinking, um, where AI fits in, where it doesn't, prompts for custom code, and then prompts for using it for the UI element of um, mobile apps or anything you're sort of developing. Um, so I work for an insurance company full time, and a lot of the people that I work with try and use AI, and it just you can just tell they're trying to use AI because they send you something that just is blatantly wrong, or doesn't make any sense. So someone once told me to use AI like you're talking to a human being. So break it down into small areas, small issues that you have. Don't use it for one big idea. You try and break it down because it will just try and guess what you want to say. Um, and the other thing is when you're talking to a human being, you can tell if they don't understand something or if they get something wrong just by the look of their face. But with AI, you can't. So if you break it down into smaller bits and you're getting a response like a conversation, you can pick out when it's starting to go wrong instead of waiting, um, which leaves a lot of the guesswork out. There's a story about the Frenchmen during the siege of Tobruk, and they stupidly thought that the 120 figure was for kilometers and not miles, and then the army broke down in the desert and didn't have enough fuel. So that was something that came up early, and I thought it was that reminds me a lot when people try and use AI. They just assume that the AI's got the general idea what you want, and it doesn't. So incept the issues and misunderstandings before you run out of fuel. Um, I'm reading a book at the moment called How Big Things Happen, and it was talking a lot about backwards thinking, and I think that's how you can sort of identify which bits you need to use AI for. So if you have an idea and you want to, produce an MVP, try and break it down. What are the key features? How are you going to use the data and logic, the software needed, and then sort of break down those bits until you can't use the AI for the questions you can no longer split down, and they're the elements that you need to use AI for, not can you develop me this product? Can you tell me what backend to use or which schemas, how it should be laid out, what software is needed? Um, yeah, I feel like AI works for binary black and white issues, things that are yes and no, things that you can actually understand the answer it's going to give you. And it fails to deliver on complex emotion fueled issues. So, sort of user experience, back end code, and stuff like that, it's quite good for things people don't see. And then the UI, things that people do see, people can tell when it's AI generated. Um, with the recipe app that I made, I actually asked AI to generate all the recipes that was on it, and then when we started cooking them, ended up with things that were it. I mean, it looks good on paper, and then when you start cooking, it quickly didn't work. Um, so this is sort of how you shouldn't use it. Generate custom code that gives me the increased percentage from last month's project. So I'm building I haven't really done this presentation very well, but I'm building a CRM system for work at the moment. And some of the custom code I had to do was to work out an increased percentage for some projects that are in a database. And if I put that in, it doesn't know what month means, doesn't know what a project looks like, what field names I'm using, or how Flutterflow expects the custom actions. So then if you use Flutterflow, what I started doing is trying to use the try and add the most amount of information into the prompt, but also use it for the least amount of stuff. So if you're using Flutterflow, you can actually have it generate the boilerplate and all the variables first. So if you do that, it cuts down on the issues that AI does get wrong. And since doing that, I've got very little errors. Whereas before, it was trying to guess a load of stuff and it was just crashing. I don't know why it says what there. Moving on. And another thing for UI, it doesn't really work very well either. If you just write generate me a homepage, it spat out a bunch of stuff earlier that didn't look good or make any sense. But if you try and generate and build the homepage first and then ask AI the elements it can actually refine, I feel that works a lot better. So that's the first homepage I built, and it doesn't look that good. It works. And I think it was based on an AI generated prompt that came out. It looks okay, but I didn't give it the context of what the app actually was, what it should do, how it should feel. It doesn't really make me want to cook any food. That was the other one that I then did, and it was okay, but there was a few elements that didn't really look right. So then I asked AI how I should space it, and I broke it up a bit like I've done at the bottom of that prompt there. I told it what elements are on there, and then asked for the spacing and sizing, and then ended up with something that looked like that, which I don't think looks too bad, but yeah, I'll eventually develop it, I guess. That was basically the end of the talk. The summary was just try and use AI like you're talking to someone instead of just as a calculator. Use backwards thinking to break down the problems into solvable issues for the AI, and things like user interfaces that user experience and coding that people don't tend to see day to day. Use it for that, but for UI, images, recipes, and such, yeah, maybe don't use AI because it does end up getting it wrong. That was basically it. Thank you for listening. Thank you. Any questions, I guess?
I do have a question.
Oh, good. Okay.
So do you have an alternative? Like you just told us what we shouldn't use, or?
Oh no, sorry, yeah. I once going through that, I was like, there's quite a bit that I'm sort of missing out, I think. Flutterflow to build an app or build a product, I think is really good. I think you should use AI, but I mean the alternative is to just use the information you have in your head. A lot of these things you can answer or can, research and develop the idea, but if you just use AI to answer just one big question, a lot of detail either gets missed out or gets wrong. So I think it's more if you can answer the questions and break it down and do certain elements yourself, that's what I would suggest, instead of just going straight to the AI and then having something that doesn't function. Yeah.
So you explained how it will misunderstand things and it will just guess.
Yeah.
You ask it to tell you what it doesn't understand, or is it an unknown, like it doesn't even know that it doesn't understand?
I think you can to an extent, but you need to sort of know which elements it might guess. I've tried it before. It's like but it thinks it's understanding. So if you say, oh, if you don't understand X, then tell me. But then if you know it's probably not going to understand that, then that's probably not the application you should be applying AI to. But I think, yeah, to an extent, you could probably do that. If that helps.
Have you tried using more than one AI to check on the other and so on?
No, I've only sort of used Gemini and OpenAI, ChatGPT, and that kind of thing. But they all sort of have the same issues where if they think they've got the right answer, they just blurt out whatever.
I've seen this when you put them all together and you discuss the problem and eventually decide that two of them comes to the same answer is probably the right answer.
Oh, really? Okay. Well, maybe that's what I should be doing, and then I can get AI to do everything for me. Yeah. Well, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, let me add on to a few things because I have worked with AI quite frequently lately. Have you thought of, because in ChatGPT you have a thing called, you add a small prompt before every prompt where you can cater it to what you want it to do. So if you want to be more precise, so you can slowly change how it is giving you the answers. And there's like a few things you can do, like you don't want it to give you any fluff, and you want it to retaliate against you whenever needed when you're factually wrong.
Okay.
This specific prompt is very useful when you're trying to say, when you're asking something, but you do not genuinely know what you're asking, right? You just have an idea in your head, and then it kind of guesses what you're trying to do. But when you are like factually wrong, it will actually correct you, and it will always be towards the correct side where there is more of the information on that specific point, where it usually takes a Gaussian curve of the information,
Right.
usually towards the right. Another thing you can do for code, you should try and use Claude Code. Claude Code has a better use case for code specifically, but if you want to make, let's say, an application with ChatGPT, what you first want to do is have one chat where you're going back and forth with ideas on how a application or a web page should look like, and you're just getting ideas that you're writing down, and then you're gonna make a big prompt that you say that it has this, you are a professional, blah blah blah, that adds a few extra complexity on top of it, and then you slowly add a few things onto your prompt. You send it over, you get a response, you test it, you go one step further, you test it, you go, test, go. And you need to use 2 or even 3 AIs to have a workflow where this does this, this does this, this does this. ChatGPT is very generic, it's not very good for everything,
Yeah.
but in terms of getting ideas, it is very good. One of the things I would like to tell you to add on top of what you've done so far, right? You've been just using, from my guess, is the free version of ChatGPT.
Yeah.
So based on that assumption, all the answers that you've said so far were catered towards the free version. On the one that you pay 22 euros, you can also have full projects. There's like a folder where you can add files and stuff that it will take the data from. So it's like, oh, I have this project where it has this and this in it. Or there's 10 photographs of cats and I want to search a few things up. You can open up the scopes and do a lot more things once you delve deeper into the nicky things into the AIs. Because right now you're just going on the top part where you're doing your job because it's very important, but you're trying a little bit here and there. You gotta dip a little bit deeper in order to get all the results.
Okay.
So do you recommend the paid version? I feel like
Personally, because I bought it,
Yeah.
I'm gonna vouch for yes, but the more I use it, the more I'm thinking maybe ChatGPT specifically is not the best.
Yeah.
Because for me, for my use cases, it is. For your use cases, Claude Code, the paid version, could be better because you could be using Chat for the ideas and Claude for the code. Depending on your use case, and different AI is better.
Okay. Yeah.
So basically every LLM is trained on different data. So each and different AI or LLM is trained on specific, not specific, but like Claude AI can be better for code.
Yeah.
GPT can be better for organization. DeepSeek can be better for this. That can be better for that. So you need to find what you really need and use that.
Okay.
Also, profiling is very good, and prompt engineering which you need to work.
What's
So
profile?
how to actually write your prompt. So
Right, okay.
It won't hallucinate or do anything that you don't want it.
Yeah. Okay. Alright, I'll give that.
I have also one comment. How did you build the UI? By prompting or?
No, we're just with Flutterflow and dragging in and using things like Pinterest and stuff like that.
This is not AI generated.
Not the UI, but a lot of the custom code is. So I got Flutterflow to do the majority of, you know, navigating to a page, whatever. That bit's easy enough. But when you actually want it to like build a shopping list based on all the documents you've saved to a certain section, then it starts. But I mean, ChatGPT did work quite well for that. But when I just said generate me that code and then tried pasting it in, it just gave me something that wasn't even the right language. So
It's just because of what you wrote there, like for UI, use sparingly.
Yeah.
I know a tool
Yeah.
which will solve your needs. It's a tool from by Google. It's called Stitch.
Okay.
Basically, you enter a prompt and it will give you the UI design for you. Like you can iterate, and then you take that, you can export it as code, or just like a PNG or whatever,
Yeah.
and then you give it to someone to implement it. Someone could be
and are they good? Because the Flutterflow's got something built in, but it's terrible. The one on Flutterflow is really bad. So okay.
if you don't like something, you can prompt it again, and then it will generate another design just with your changes that you requested. And yeah, it's very good because you do everything within that tool.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Okay.
So
What was it called? Stitch?
yeah, Stitch, yeah.
I'm gonna play
Stitch,
around with that.
Stitch dot with Google or something like that.
Yeah, I'm sure I'll
But
find it.
you will find it, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.